Hey there, everyone. This is Trent. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to pop in and create a short video on retirement planning in 2023 and what that looks like. You might be thinking about retirement either this year or in the next few years, and we're at a really interesting time for people to be retiring. When we're thinking about inflation and the market being down, heading into a recession, planning is going to be critical for those that are approaching retirement in the very near future. So if that is you, stick around in this video or even reach out to me for some objective guidance so we can make sure that you're not missing anything and that your plan is optimized. So what I'm going to talk about today is how to take that next right step, um, from a high level, and then we can dive deeper if we need to. So, the first thing to figure out when thinking about retirement planning and your financial planning is what is actually working. And I know that's pretty high level, but when you think about your situation, there are probably some things that come to mind that are working really well for you financially, right? And that might be your investment portfolio, that might be your income, that might be maybe your net worth, that might be a business that has been really successful for you. Whatever it might be in your situation from a financial perspective, figure out what is working really well, because that actually is good to focus on and to understand what is working in your favor and start with that, right? Start with the good stuff. And then the next step is to kind of look at the other things which aren't working really well or at all in your financial situation, or maybe even some things that are keeping you up at night. And it could be any of the things that I mentioned or anything else, but the most common things are investment portfolio. Trent, my portfolio was down 25% last year, and that really kept me up many nights, especially heading into a recession. And I'm retiring in 2023 or 2024, the near future. And not to mention, things are costing a lot more, right? So my portfolio being down and all these other things, that doesn't really seem like it's working really well for me. Or the tolerance, my risk tolerance approaching retirement seems to be becoming a little bit more conservative. And my portfolio, I'm not really too sure if it's aligned with this shift and this change of heading into retirement and investing for retirement, as opposed to the accumulation stage heading up to retirement, right? Trent, what might not be working really well for me is I'm having a hard time understanding how to understand my tax implications over the next 20 years. And I have a really hard time thinking of a way to reduce my lifetime taxes and to not risk overpaying. Also, how do I coordinate minimizing taxes with my investment portfolio and with my financial goals and with passing on assets to my beneficiaries and heirs in 20 years? And how do I distribute from my accounts in the most efficient way to achieve the portfolio allocation target, the risk tolerance target, the income target, and all of these things, right? So somebody might say bringing all or understanding how all of the pieces work together isn't working well for me because I don't really know how to bring everything together in a seamless way and in a very simple way, right? That might not be working very well for me. And so you see where I'm getting at with what isn't really working well for me. It could be anything, but mostly it's typically it's usually something that is a problem or something that you can't figure out in a struggle in your retirement planning and financial planning, which is really not working too well. Or like I mentioned, it could be your investment portfolio. So you need to figure out what's working, be honest with yourself on that too, right? Look at your financial picture and situation and be really honest with yourself, like what is working really well and then what isn't working really well. And the next thing to look into is like, what do you wish was different, right? So after reviewing what is working, what isn't working, start to think about what you wish was maybe different in your financial life heading into retirement. And this could be something like, Trent, what I wish was different is that I had complete confidence that I'm not missing anything, right? From a high level, that is the vast majority of people that reach out to me. That is the objective. And you can dive into that a little bit further. I want an investment portfolio that um, is appropriate for heading into retirement as opposed to the accumulation stage, because that's really quite easy. The coordination of your portfolio producing an income stream that is tax efficient, that can be a little bit more complex. The account types, the investment holdings, and all of the things that come with portfolio management become a little bit more complex for most people when you start distributing from your accounts and aligning the distributions with all the other goals that I just mentioned, right? So that's what somebody might want to be different with their financial life, is understanding how the nuts and bolts and everything works together heading into this next stage of your retirement and of your life. All right. And so just to recap, you need to understand what's working, what's not working, and then what you wish was a little bit different in your financial life. So what I'm going to do now is screen share to go over a few things that I just mentioned to maybe take the next steps forward with how you can start to figure out what's working, what isn't working, and what you wish was different, and then maybe a game plan for you to start taking action on some of these things so that you can have that objective met of, I just want total confidence that I'm on track and I'm not missing anything. So let me share my screen and then we can dive into the next steps. All right. So where we are now is a tool called New Retirement. I'm sure if you've been following me for a while, or if you're in the Retirement Planning Club, which is an online group that you can join, secureyourretirementnow.com. This tool will allow you in a self-directed way to start working through those action items and points of what's working, what's not working, and what do I wish was different. All right. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly walk you through how to navigate those 3 points, those 3 things. So if you're like new to New Retirement, you can just go to, or if you want to sign up, you can go to newretirement.com and then go through that sign up process, or you can go to the link below this video and you can register for New Retirement. But the tool is really easy to use. So what I'm going to do here is just plug in some numbers just to have fun with this, so you can start to see and get clarity on your financial situation. So what I did here is I plugged in some amounts here, some growth rates for my different assets that I have plugged in here, but I'm going to fine tune a few of these things so that we can move along here. So this is Trent's IRA. And bear with me here. Okay. All right. So what you're going to want to do is make sure that you have your updated accounts linked to or inputted into New Retirement. So the value and the growth rate that you're assuming that your portfolio is going to earn over time. Once you input your investment portfolio value and the assumed growth rate, you can check this box. This looks good. Then you can input your primary residence. If you have a mortgage, if you have any debt that is non-mortgage, you can input your income here. You can input your Social Security that you're expected to have in retirement and any other income sources that you have. Your expenses, you can input an expense here. So this, I'm just going to input general recurring, and that is going to be, let's just say $8,000 a month. And any other expenses that you want to get specific with within new retirement. Money flows, this is where you can instruct the system how you're moving money between accounts or from your income. And this is where you can edit your goals and objectives and personal information. So that is a very quick way of going through new retirement. But what I'm getting at is showing you in just a few data points how to figure out what is working. Okay. What is working in this situation that I just quickly inputted is the forecast looks strong. Okay. So it looks like I have enough wealth to sustain my retirement based off of this input, right? This is very hypothetical. So that is something that is working for me, is that I probably have enough wealth to retire. So that's in my favor. So if I ask myself that question in this situation, I would write that down, that is working in my favor. I have enough wealth, I think. All right. And I think that my portfolio, that is, again, this is a quick way of doing this, but my portfolio has averaged 6%. And that seems to be enough to reach my financial goals and sustain my lifestyle into and then throughout retirement. So that seems to be working pretty well and in my favor. Another thing to look at is the probability of success. So the straight line linear cash flow projection is one thing to consider, but also the probability of running out of money at some point in retirement is another thing to look at too. So that is working well and in my favor. A 99% chance of not running out of money, assuming these variables, assuming the historical returns and the variance of those returns. This looks like something that is working in my favor. All right. Okay, so let's just talk and shift about maybe what is not working for me. So one of the most common things that people talk about, either in the retirement planning club or when they reach out to have a conversation with me, either for the first time or even some clients, it's how do I minimize taxes? And how do I navigate that investment tax area with income from pensions and Social Security and maybe some passive income sources with real estate or a business? And how do I minimize the amount of taxes that I'm paying? It's kind of a gray area, and people really don't like hearing that, but it's true. Nobody knows exactly what tax rates are going to be in the future. Nobody knows exactly what your income needs and expenses are going to be in the future. But what we can do is just set the baseline of what we know, what we think might happen, and make decisions off of that and use that in building our plan. But when it comes to minimizing taxes, either in the short term or the long term, you really need to understand what your cash flow is going to be. That's a really good starting point. For instance, within new retirement, I always instruct either the people that I'm teaching or clients of mine, where you can go to start working through what does my tax projection look like over the course of my lifetime, from now through the end of my retirement. And what you can do is you can actually, this specific system and any other financial advisor tool can definitely provide these sorts of answers and clarity, but New Retirement does a really good job from a self-directed standpoint. What you can do is you can look into the estimated taxes in your lifetime, just right here through some simple charts, and you can start to see some trends. All right, so you can start to see that there's actually a chunk of time where before the RMDs will kick in the future where I don't have much income, right? And this is the assumed retirement is 55 and 56. And so you can start to see that there's a gap here, and what is probably coming to maybe your mind, or what might come to some people's minds, is that Roth conversions might be something to consider, especially if I have a very pre-tax heavy exposure or an account that is traditional IRA, traditional 401k. There's some opportunity here potentially to do some Roth conversions and balance that with my spending to reduce lifetime taxes. So this is one observation, and something that is maybe really not working well. Like I don't know how to navigate this. Right? That's what many people are asking me when they reach out to me and when we have our conversations. So what we do next, and what I would encourage you, if this is similar to your situation, to look next is you can actually go to the either the bottom of the overview page, or you can go to the Roth Conversion Explorer, run it, and it will show you a very draft plan of Roth conversions that you could consider, and how much you could potentially add to your estate by following this exact schedule, and potentially how much you could save in taxes, assuming, again, this is very gray, but assuming all these variables are going to stay true for the next like multiple decades, which is not, probably won't happen, right? It probably won't happen, but you need to make decisions, and this is how you can start making logical decisions based on what we know, and planning for this and tweaking it over time as things change. So this is kind of the next step of that. What isn't working well for me? Well, again, this is like a hypothetical situation. This tax planning is not working well for me, and how I understand, how do I bring everything together and start understanding how to reduce my lifetime taxes, assuming like all these other things are happening. This is the starting point. You can go through and see what your income levels are going to be over time. And you can see here the annual effective federal income tax rate comparison between the Roth conversion strategy, which is the light blue line, versus the darker blue strategy, which is not doing any Roth conversions. You can see that leveling out your income and making it a little bit more consistent over time can benefit you potentially long term, because if you go to the back end of your retirement, which is where most of the benefit will happen, because your RMDs aren't going to be as high, you're already going to pay your taxes a lesser tax early on, and there isn't going to be this bloating and compounding of tax liability on the back end of your retirement. Right. So this is one action step that somebody could take to figuring out and start reasoning through, how do I reduce my lifetime taxes, and make actions in the short term help me in the long term. Right. Another thing that we can start to work through within the new retirement portal is understanding the lifetime cash flow with your different income sources that you might have, and really understanding how your income versus your expenses, are they aligned, right? So what a lot of people will maybe struggle with, whether you're new to retirement planning, or even if you've been working through a retirement plan process for a while, is how do I balance what is coming in and how my assets are growing versus how much I'm spending? And it's very difficult sometimes to understand that. So new retirement makes it fairly simple to understand where's your income, where are your expenses, and how they are aligning over time. So you can start to figure out how to distribute from your accounts, and when you're going to need to distribute from your accounts to accommodate your expenses that you have in retirement. All right. So this is another, what might not be working for somebody is understanding how to coordinate the cash flow within their situation, assuming all of the variables of Social Security, your retirement income from your portfolio, a pension, Roth conversions, and all the other things that I've mentioned. All right. So those are some of the, I'm not going to have this video just go on forever because I could just keep thinking of new things and different things that people struggle with and their problems and things that they, that aren't really working well for them. But in general, what is not working well for a lot of people that reach out, that is probably relevant to you: investment portfolio not being up to date within your target risk tolerance and built for retirement income, because a lot of people are still stuck in the stage of accumulation and not distribution. Tax planning: how do I not overpay Uncle Sam? And how do I reduce my lifetime tax liability? That's just one major thing that many people struggle with bringing together, with, especially considering all of the different variables that you have to kind of piece together. All right. And so what you wish was different. Many people, like I said, they wish that everything, they just had total confidence and that everything made sense to them. There's an action plan, there's a game plan to work through. And that's when New Retirement can really start to help you with making sure that all the pieces are accounted for, everything from your tax planning to your investment portfolio planning and cash flow planning is all integrated into a singular plan of action. This platform does a really good job of helping people do that. Now, just like anything else, if you don't know how to use it properly, it's useless. And that's the truth. Just like if somebody gave me a scalpel, right, to perform surgery. Like, I don't know how to perform surgery. I've never performed surgery, even if I have the tool, right? And so the same thing has to do with retirement planning and investment portfolio planning. If you have the right, you can have all the right tools, but if you don't know the processes and how to reason through optimizing and building a plan, then the tools are useless. So if you're struggling to bring everything together, what I'm going to do is just show you a few options to consider, and then I can kind of work through those options for you in just a few minutes. Okay, so this is how I personally help people as their ongoing financial advisor. There's a program called Copilot, which is a monthly financial planning program that does not require the opening of a new account or movement of assets or assets under management. It is a fee for advice only, right? And we have a lot of people in that program that are self-directed investors. They want to manage their own funds, but they definitely want to have access to a financial advisor and a mentor and somebody to partner with in their retirement planning and investment portfolio management moving forward on an ongoing basis. So Copilot is $500 a month at the time of this recording. CFO is another option, which is a more traditional approach where I manage at least $500,000 for you as an investor. And it is a done for you service where I build your financial plan, I manage your financial plan, I manage that portion of wealth, and give you advice on the other buckets of wealth that might not be directly under management of my firm, but I definitely like to make sure that the questions that you have on those other assets are being accounted for as well. So Copilot is more of a fee. Yeah, it is a fee for service and a fee for advice. CFO is I'm your CFO and I work through with you. You're the CEO, I'm the CFO. You hire me to, you delegate the financial planning to me, you delegate the tax planning, you delegate all of the things that have to do with a comprehensive financial plan to me, along with a piece of your portfolio. It can be 25% of your investable assets. It could be 50% of your investable assets. It's pretty common for people that work with me, especially because I do target and I work with a lot of self-directed investors who definitely want to still be involved in the management of their investments, but they're willing to delegate a portion of their investment management to a fiduciary advisor. Um, and but they also want to manage like a piece too because it's enjoyable. They just in general just enjoy the management of their funds and assets, and they don't necessarily want to give that up. But they're smart enough to know that they don't know everything, and they know that collaboration and a partnership and having a mentor will get them greater outcomes over a long period of time. So that's why a lot of people decide to go with especially the CFO option, because it gives them just deeper access to me. It gives them the delegation of certain buckets of wealth, and they don't have to think about anything too much because I'm doing everything for them. Right. So those are two ongoing options to get help from me. You also, if you want help, you can go to resilientfp.com/call. And there is a 1 hour advice session that you can actually invest in. So it is $297 per hour. So if you want to book 1 hour, that's totally fine. And then we can meet for 1 hour to go through from a higher level what's working, what's not working, and then what you wish was different, and then come up with an actionable step game plan on how to improve anything and optimize anything within your financial life and moving forward, right? Whether that is using an advisor to help you moving forward, or if you just want to remain in that very self-directed DIY space, we'll get to the bottom of what you need to do from a getting help perspective, along with any specific actionable items, such as changing up your investment strategy, changing the way that you're thinking about Roth conversions and tax planning, and optimizing the distribution strategy of your retirement plan, and whatever it might be that's unique to your situation, we will dive deeper into on this 1 hour advice session. So this is available to the Retirement Planning Club members, my YouTube subscribers, or anyone who really wants to mostly get an introduction to me and have a planning session where they can get a ton of value. And this is the very next step if that is interesting to you, without maybe committing to one of the other two options right off the bat. This is a very good bridge from consuming my content to start getting help from me and considering the other two options down the road if it makes sense and it's mutually beneficial. All right. So I definitely wanted to give you some ways where if you want help and you have liked my content and you're part of my YouTube subscribers or the Retirement Planning Club or email list and you want my help, this is how I can help you with these three options. So that's it for this video. I hope it was somewhat helpful. Again, just to recap, you need to understand what's working in your financial life. That's very important. You need to understand what isn't working and be really honest with yourself on both of those fronts. What is working, what isn't working, because what you might think is working might not actually be working. So you need to know what's working, what's not working, and then you need to really understand what you wish was different in your situation. So review this video a few times, go through it to make more sense of what I talked about. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. You can join the Retirement Planning Club. That's secureyourretirementnow.com. You can book a call with me and have an introduction call. That is resilientfp.com/call. The links will be below in the description or somewhere around, maybe in the comments. And just reach out to me if you want my help. And I would be happy to assist you with any of your retirement planning needs. That's it for this video. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.